if you don't mind, can you lead us in prayer? Yeah.
Yeshua, we thank you today. We give you praise, we give you honor, we give you glory. This is the day that you have made, that we will rejoice and be glad in it. Father, you said you sent your word and healed us. Father, you said that you magnified your word above your name. Lord God, you said that without you, we could do nothing. Father, Lord, you said that greater is you that is in us than he that is in the world. Father, Lord, in this gathering, you said where two or three are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of us. Father, bless us today, Lord God. I pray for the speaker, Lord. I pray that the words of his mouth and the meditation of his heart will be acceptable in your sight. I pray that no corrupt communication will proceed out of his mouth, but that which is good for the use of edifying, Lord. And give us ears to hear, Lord God, and then take what we have heard and apply it to our lives. And we thank you and we praise you and we give you honor, Yeshua, and we give you glory. In that mighty name we pray. Amen.
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 So be it, so be it, so be it.
Yes.
So we're going through a series called To Turn the Heart of the Fathers to the Children and the Heart of the Children to the Fathers. Part one was about scapegoats and whatnot. But now, which we're still going to kind of get into scapegoats, but this is all about taking heed to your spirit, because in the times to come, in the days to come, we all have got to be in control of our faculties, and then, not being ignorant of the enemy's devices, because a lot of us have children, spouses. And the one thing that we know, that the enemies, the powers that should not be and won't be for much longer, what they don't want is they don't want a natural household. They don't want that. They don't want a father, a mother with children. They want Steve and Bob, Mary and Keisha. They don't want the natural order of things. And especially with us, everything always starts with us, especially here in America. So we're going to go to Malachi 4, where we learn about this again. And I'm just going to read it. It's real quick. It says, "For behold, the day cometh, thou shalt burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahuwah of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings." That's what you was praying about, healing. "And you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall," so we'll be well taken care of. Because in the times to come, we all have to have a specific mark or seal on us. Not the one that man wants us to have, but the one that our Creator tells us to have, right? "And you shall tread the wicked, tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Yahuwah of hosts." So these are the key ones, though. Verse 4, Malachi 4, verse 4. "Remember you the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahuwah," or of the Lord, as it is written, "and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." So when we were going over things last week, so we talked about salvation, because we have to understand what salvation was from a biblical sense. We know it's been overly spiritualized. I'll say that, because we know that there is a spiritual salvation, saving of your souls. We understand that. But from a biblical sense, do y'all remember where we went to read about salvation?
Hold on a second. I have my notes. Leviticus?
Nope.
Luke.
Nope. Yeah, Luke.
We were in Luke 1.
Yep.
We read 5 through 20.
Okay, good. That's good. So we're going to go to Luke 1. So this is just a quick little rehash, right? And we're going to start at verse 13. It says, "But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zechariah, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John," or Yehukanim, "and thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of Yahuwah, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. And he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to Yahuwah, their God, or Elohim. So the thing about the hearts of the fathers returning to the children is us returning back to our Creator. That was the main thing. But as we keep going, you'll start seeing that, like when they expound on this prophecy in the New Testament, it's a little bit different, because what we read in Malachi was the hearts of the fathers returning to the children, and then children turning to the fathers. So if we keep going, it says, and he shall go forth, shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for Yahuwah. So the main thing is the hearts of the fathers have to turn. That's why we are so important in this day. That's why they want us out of the households, because we are their glory. A lot of people don't realize that. We are their glory. Right. Go ahead, Brandon.
The part where it says, and the disobedient of the wisdom to the just, or of the just, some reason that doesn't, I can't quite.
Because we have become, just like we have now, wayward. We became disobedient. But only those that are wise enough to actually hear and understand these things can really see that, okay, the Most High wants the fathers to get in order. That's what this whole prophecy of Elijah is actually about. And like the first time, even when we went over last week, I didn't really catch that. And then as I was going over it again today, I'm like, wait, so in the quote unquote New Testament, it's more about the fathers. That's why this is the second week of us focusing on the men, because it's up to us to get in order, because we're learning about salvation. Now, I know we haven't really talked about salvation yet, so we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to stay in Luke 1. We're going to jump down to 66. And it says, and all they that heard them laid them up in their hearts, saying, what manner of child shall this be? And the hand of Yahuwah was with him, because as we remember, Zechariah, he became deaf and dumb because he didn't believe the prophecy from the angel, from the messenger of the Most High, until Yehukin, or John, was born, right? So then all of a sudden he's born, and then all of a sudden he can talk again. The Spirit of the Most High is on him. So then he says, and his father Zechariah was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, blessed be Yahuwah, the God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us of his servant David. So we understand that salvation can be cleaved to and grabbed on by everybody. But judgment starts at the house of God, or at the house of Elohim. So it starts with us. That's why they fought so hard to get us out of the households. That's why we've got to get in order, and then everything else is established. Everyone else gets in order. But we don't want to accept the things that we have to accept. We don't want to have to take accountability or responsibility. You know, we just want to sit back, like the woman, literally do everything. We won't even help with the children. All we want to do is make excuses, bash on them, and just basically just let these cycles continue. But again, this is on us. The covenant was given through the man. It was given to us. This is our responsibility. This is also our nahala. This is our inheritance. That's why it was called patrimony. That word that we went over last week. Go ahead.
No. I wasn't saying anything else.
Okay.
I was saying anything.
And redeem his people. Again, anyone can cleave to the covenant, to the commandments, to the salvation. But it starts with us, because we were the ones that were there, that were given to. We are those descendants through the transatlantic slave trade. Then it says, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. And he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So this is where it kind of gets uncomfortable. Because a lot of us are comfortable in America, comfortable in Rome, comfortable in Babylon, Egypt, spiritual Egypt, however you want to frame it. And we don't understand that even though these things keep happening to us, we're still literally in the lands of our captivity. Literally. Not figurative, not a joke. And the powers that should not be still don't want us to be. And we still keep growing. We still keep prospering.
The irony about
Go ahead.
slavery is when Willie wrote the letter, he said, I don't do this for the slave, now I do this for the slave, bring
Ish.
Right.
Like that, ish.
Just like Jewish. Whatever. We've been free-ish, and we became slaves to ourselves. The slavery ended physically. Slavery ended. Unless you're in jail, but that's a whole different story. But we became slaves to the mentality, ergo slaves of ourselves.
Keep going.
It's just, it's a continuation. It's a continuation of all of that. You know, everything from back in the day, from when the first of us decided, nah, you know what? I'm not gonna sacrifice the goat. I'm gonna bring the broken one. I'm gonna give that to him to do it, rather than me go do what I'm supposed to go do. And no, I wanna go watch the football. No, I wanna go right? So, ever since then, it was like a meticulous planning of, oh, you don't want to do what I asked. Bam. Stand by. Don't worry. I got you. One day we'll figure it out. To him, it's when, to us, it's now, ever.
To him, it's
But
400 plus
still-
years. Or to
we're
us, it is.
still
Yeah.
Doing this. And then the awakening is happening, but it's a slow awakening. It won't be our generation. It may not be their generation, but the generation after them may be the ones that snap out of it and say, you know what, hey, we should go back to whatever, but we have to continue the life lessons.
So, and then to piggyback off of what you're saying, we've got to continue to move forward because, like I said before, we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, but our families also stand on our shoulders. So if we start imparting this wisdom into our children and even to our spouses now, so the next generation, they'll be smarter, they'll know more, they'll start like on a solid foundation. Because like, I know from my example, both of my parents, they came from broken households, womanizers, alcoholics, anything you can think of, almost killing each other. That's what my parents went through. And then they made a concerted effort to make a choice, and you know what, the cycle's going to end here. So then me and my brothers were born. So now it's on us to drive it forward, to allow it to go to the next generation. But that's a choice. That's why when the commandments came down in Horeb, he was like, choose this day who you will serve. All of this stuff comes down to a choice. Are we going to be men, or are we just going to continue to live in toxic femininity? I'm going to say that because we want the woman, and we want to continue to live in matrimony instead of patrimony, because the Bible is through a patrilineal line. And we know that we all have parts. But a lot of times we don't want to play our parts. We don't want to provide. We just want to be in a relationship to where we don't have nothing to do. We just want to just exist because we don't choose to allow the Most High to heal us from our childhood traumas. Now, a lot of people don't have the same story as me. I came from a two-parent household. Other people have different choices to make because they have different experiences. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, that was just, literally, I just left the house, my daughter was dropping off my grandmother, and she was telling me, you know, her father was like, I'm not gonna help you because you hurt me too much, and I was just like, you know, that's because he's hurting within himself, and he doesn't have, number one, he has to forgive himself for what has happened, and also, he's not forgiving her. And I was like, I can't turn my back on you because you're my child. The Most High trusted in me to make sure that you're going to be okay. I said, this is not just, oh, if you're 18, it's done and over with. I was like, that was something that was like, hey, I trust you with my seed. I'm going to need you to help my seed throughout life. I said, and I tell her when I sell my seeds into her, when she needs mom, I need something, I need diapers, whatever the case may be. I'm like, you know what, when I have, I can help you. I said, but I help you because I'm going to get older one day. And I'm going to need my child to basically do the same thing I'm doing with my dad.
The circle
She's
of life.
like, I got you, Mom. And, you know, I'm like, that's the responsibility of not just the mother, but as the father. Like, what are you, because you're hurt, you can't let that go. So you're literally sowing a bad seed into your child now, so that when you need them when you're an elder, they're going to say, well, where were you at when I needed you? So it's so important that that healing from your childhood past is done over with, because when I try to explain to her, well, I see where your dad is coming from, because he had to do this, he had to get out there, he had to be an adult before he was expected to be an adult.
because he will visit the iniquity of the fathers to the third and fourth generation of those that hate him. But he'll show mercy to thousands of those that love him and keep his commandments. We always got to remember that, because he's a God, or Elohim, of balance. And especially in our generation, a man's word isn't what it used to be, because we live in a generation, in a society to where you don't have to stand on what you say. You can even lie, even if you're under oath. You'll still commit perjury, because the lip of truth is not in this generation, because that's how we've been programmed. That's how we've been trained. That's why when people keep watching this idiot box all day, believing everything that the news tries to tell you, believe every TV show, oh, the kids has got to be terrible twos. And why does it have to be a terrible two? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That's brainwashing. That's a choice. And that's you choosing to not discipline your child. That's you sparing the rod a lot of the times and spoiling the child. But that's a choice. We are men. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was going to say, first time I smacked her hand, she was one. She was one. First time I smacked her hand, she was one.
You can't because, and then, like, with the hearts of the fathers returning to the children, we have to learn to respect our elders. And let me say that with a caveat. Know which ones are truly your elders, because just because someone's older than you does not make them a wise elder. You're supposed to honor the hoary head.
Amen.
There's an order, though. If this guy is an alcoholic, a fool, a drunk, crazy, then you ain't got to be taking advice from him, even though you can learn from anybody. But you in this time, we've got to have discernment. That's the key. We've got to have discernment with the times that's coming. And he says that we should be saved from our enemies. So this is a part of our nahala, our inheritance. This is all about the hearts of the fathers returning to the children, and the children to the fathers, and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant. So all of this goes back to the holy covenant. The oath which he sware to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us, that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our lives. So we all grew up in Christianity. Let's just call it what it is. We're believers. Like, point blank period. That's what we are. But understanding, like, when there's a salvation, there's usually some type of, maybe it's a great death, great toll, because there's wars. So like when the Israelites, the kingdom of Judah, when they came back from Babylon, everyone didn't make it. Only certain ones were, many are called, but few were chosen enough to come back, right? So when America falls, and we're seeing the slow descent of this country, allegedly Trump, let me go ahead and put it this time, Trump is allegedly going to blow the roof off with evidence to prove that he won the election. Personally, I think he did win the last election. It's too late now. But we have to understand that they're going to start with the racism, and then they're going to start with the political divides. And then we know that the people that are awakening to the truth have been identified as black identity extremists. Well, we're no more extreme than anybody. We're just awakening to our heritage, to our inheritance. So we have to have discernment, and we have to have our families in order, because you never know. We may end up getting expelled like we did back in 1492 from Spain and Portugal. We don't know how it's going to go, but if that does happen, we've got to be running taut ships. It can't be all this back talk. It can't be all, we can't control our kids. We don't know where they're at. It can't be like that. We have got to reestablish the order that was set up from day one. Adam, Eve, and then the children, right? But again, that's on us. It's not on our wives. We'll get to the wives, but it's not on them. That's on us, and we have got to be honest with ourselves. We messed up. We are lacking. We've got growing up to do. We've got work to do. You know what? It's okay, because ain't none of us here perfect. Nobody's here perfect. Right? Daily. That's why we're supposed to be repenting, and praying without ceasing. Mortifying our members daily. But again, this is a daily walk. And guess what? It's going to take time. And it's going to take work to get our families in order. Because we are literally called to be outstanding. He told us to be holy, to be separate. We're always supposed to stand out. That's why a lot of us have always felt like a black sheep. We were never supposed to fit in with everybody.
Unspotted from the world.
I'm saying. And that's why like this world is in such disarray, because we are out of order. Us. We, as a people, as a nation of people, we're walking around with out of order signs on us. Literal signs on us. And the first part in us getting there is just admitting it. Again, going through the water, going through a baptism, looking at yourself in the mirror, admitting that you need help. Not thinking that you're right in your own eyes. Because this generation wants us to be that way. They want us to be rebellious, to rebel. And we've been doing that for too long. It's time for us to go back where we belong. You know, it's time for us to be the people that we were ordained to be. It's that time. It's that time. It says that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. And you, and thou, child, shall be called the prophet of the highest, talking about John. For thou shalt go before the face of Yahuwah to prepare his ways. So, before the Messiah comes back, even before destructions and calamities come, prophets are raised up in that time, in that day. That have the spirit of Elijah. Like, that's a prototype. That's what always happens. He always lets us know, like through a prophet. It's the spirit of Elijah letting you know, hey, y'all need to get ready. Y'all need to prepare your hearts. Y'all need to be in sackcloth and ashes, right? And we're coming into that time because, again, when the famine comes, which we know they're orchestrating the famine. It's a man-made famine that's coming, right? They're destroying produce from farms. Farmers are getting paid to destroy everything. They're blowing up and burning down all these production facilities. They're purposefully destroying the trucking system, the transportation system for a point, even the shipping container system. America's time as being the crown jewel of the world is coming to an end, whether we like it or not.
Everybody want to be God, but nobody want to worship God.
Yeah. And everyone want to be the people, because all these other people claiming to be the people, but they don't want to go through the curses that we went through and continue to go through. Family members, like you can tell them the truth till you're blue in the face and they still won't get it. Still can't see it.
And we need the same book.
Huh? Same book.
We need the same book.
Same book. Same book. And like you show them scriptures like this and like, wait, so this is what the people of the book was believing was going to happen? It's right. It's in the New Testament too, no doubt. That's crazy, right? Because I know we've gone over this before. It says, and thou, child, shall be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of Yahuwah to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. Now we know that everyone can ask and have the remission of their sins, but it was first given to us. That's important. That's why we have to get it right first. That's why the world is moaning and groaning for the manifestations of the sons of God, of the Most High.
Yes, Lord.
Waiting on us to get right. That's what this is all about. It's about us finally getting it right.
Yes.
Now, are we going to make it, kick the bucket down? It's going to go down another 3, 4 generations, 10 generations? Or are we going to decide that we're going to make this time the time where we finally get it right? As a nation of kings and priests, because that was the prophecy. That was another prophecy tied to this. A nation of kings and priests, right? Through the tender mercies of our God, whereby the dayspring from on high have visited us, to give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, and was in the desert till the day of his showing unto Israel. So we got work to do. So now we're going to keep going over a little quick rehash. So, Brandon, what was a scapegoat?
Scapegoat was something we could blame. We were the scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
We were the scapegoat.
So in Malachi 1, we were the scapegoats for who?
I was just going to say the priest.
The Levitical priesthood, right? Because they were offering things that shouldn't have been, that wasn't without spot or without blemish, right? Now, how could they offer that if we didn't give them that? So the Levitical priests became scapegoats. But that was because we were out of order, though. Because the spirit of Elijah wasn't, or Eliyahu was not really prevalent in that time. People, they didn't even care because the hearts of the fathers was not turned to the children. Because if it was, we wouldn't set our brother up like that. That was given basically a firstborn status because he didn't have his own inheritance. So we weren't even giving them the best food to eat either. But keep going. Go ahead.
I was listening. I heard what you said. You said they were offering up what we weren't given, and my brain translated that as I brought you a caddy, but you offered a sip. I mean,
Yeah. Same thing. So, like you said, a scapegoat is a goat whose head are symbolically placed the sins of the people, after which he ascended to the wilderness in the biblical ceremony for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. One that bears the blame for others, one that is the object of irrational hostility. Irrational. To make a scapegoat of. So because we were out of order, right? And a lot of this you can kind of say was due to Solomon really starting that. Maybe even go back to David, but because the men were not in order, the priesthood can be in order. And then if the priests ain't in order, ain't nobody going to be in order. Because they're supposed to be the messengers of the Most High, right? That's what they're supposed to be. Were you going to say something?
No, it's really powerful if you think about it, because most of the leadership in Christianity, they're men who are really, they'll read a verse, all right, close the Bible, let's go here. And I'm like, okay, but, being in that walk before, you can see where the disconnect is at.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not teaching the word of God, they're teaching what they want to teach.
Mhm.
So I'm saying what you just said is really powerful. Like there's a lot that don't.
read the scripture, close
Yeah.
the book. Let's go here.
Yeah. They'll literally go, a lot of them will literally go over one scripture and then it's just, for some of them, just pretty words.
Yeah.
Not a lot of substance, not 2 or 3 witnesses, which you don't always have to have 2 or 3 witnesses in certain instances, because sometimes you'll see certain things in there one time, but that's the book, so you got to live by it. But I don't know. I don't even want, because everything in Christianity is not bad, so I'm not going to just kill the baby. I'm not going to do that, but there are certain things that we know are not true. So what else can y'all remember from Malachi? Malachi 1 is what we went over, right? So what did the word burden mean? What was the word? Massa. Massa, right? It was Massa, and there go Massa Jones right there. That was one. And what did we know about the prophet Malachi? Huh? Okay, because the book of Malachi was written by an unknown prophet. We don't know the author. It's alleged that it may have been Ezra, but that's kind of been refuted. So we don't know who the true author is of Malachi. So I'm just trying to put these little key points in there so you can remember that about Malachi. So we're talking about accountability. And this is something that normally is something that you would kind of see more prevalent in women nowadays. I hate to say that, but it's really prevalent in us men. Accountability.
It's prevalent in women these days.
Admitting when they're wrong.
Negative, that's right. I've not seen
Oh, a lot of times it's like pulling teeth for them to admit when they're wrong.
Oh yeah, straight.
That's accountability.
How are they holding themselves accountable?
No, they're lacking in it.
Oh, okay. I missed it. I apologize, sir. I'm sorry. I was
No.
like,
No. And then, but that spirit, that trait has been passed on to us because a lot of us come through households where the father was not there. Because the heart of the father had not returned to his children. But we have to be man enough to admit that and to not let that keep going, because these children deserve the best that we have to give. Again, they did not ask to be here. I still catch myself because, I was raised in a household, my dad was ex-special forces. Talk about militant. And I catch myself, and sometimes I am too hard. I have to apologize and explain it to him, hey, I understand that, but say that drama for your mama. Is what I tell him. And he'll stop and he'll look at me, and then he'll kind of smile like me. I'm like, doggone, you are my twin, dude. You are my guy. but accountability. Because especially nowadays, we want to throw all the blame on the women. And then we're not even there to even help them raise our children. But we want to complain about how they're raising our children. Make that make sense. You want to complain about something, but then you're not even going to try to help rectify the situation. Because we don't want to accept accountability. In order for our families to make it through the tribulations to come, because the Bible shows you all kinds of tribulations after tribulations after tribulations, we have got to be accountable. Myself included. There's a lot that I have to work on. A lot that I have to work on. But we have to be consistent and accept accountability. Everybody has to work on that. Everybody has to work on that. So last week, we went over Malachi 1. So this week we're going over Malachi 2. And again, this is mainly about the men. It's about the men. Malachi 2. So Brandon, if you don't mind, could you come over here and read this? But could you get closer to the mic because they couldn't hear last time?
I was wondering about that too.
Yeah, online, yeah.
This is a little different setup than we had before. So I'm like, how much?
Yeah, because there's more people, so that's why I would prefer to be in a classroom setting, but
And that,
hit the light, hit the light. Better? Okay.
and now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to the heart to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you. I will curse your blessings. Yeah, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feast. And one shall take you away with it.
So the Most High was so displeased, he said he's going to spread dung upon the faces of the priests. And we're gonna understand why. Read the next word. Keep going, my bad.
And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts.
Because even though there's an order of Melchizedek, the Levitical priesthood also is an everlasting priesthood. It's the lesser of the two, but it's also forever, right? So read that slide.
Why would the Most High put dung on their faces?
I'm asking you.
But they ain't doing what they're supposed to do.
But like historically, do you have any idea why?
Negative, I'm sorry. No,
Okay, so
sir.
so if we go back to the teaching last week, whose job was it to offer sacrifices?
Mine,
Huh?
mine.
It wasn't the priesthood, was it?
No,
It wasn't
mine.
the Levites.
Man.
Because
Man,
again,
the house is supposed to bring up the good sheep, the Cadillac, the whatever, not the priest. And, you know.
so who killed the sacrifice?
We did.
We did. So that's supposed to represent what? Us killing our sin or the sin under our household, right? Because we would touch the sacrifice, impart the sin upon them, or remit the sin and then kill it by that to remit the sin,
I
right?
would assume that by me placing my hand on the goat, praying, I will be praying not only over myself, because that's selfish, but I will be praying for everything under my household.
Right. So that was a type of us having sins remitted, right? So we're going to go back to Leviticus 1. If you don't mind, keep reading. Because the Most High said that he was going to put dung on their faces, right? So this is why he was talking to the Levitical priests like that. There was something that they were supposed to do that they weren't doing. So go ahead.
And the Lord called unto Moses, spoke unto him out of the tabernacle with the congregation, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying to them, If any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. If this offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord.
So I got a question. So why would it be without spot or without blemish? And generally speaking, normally it's the firstborn. Why?
because the way my brain is translating, I'm supposed to be the best one that I have. Now, it's the one that I can't live without.
Because he gave his only or his first begotten son for us. So you got to think that's huh?
Have you done that part yet?
No, but that so this was trying to foreshadow that. So when they could see him, then he wouldn't have to let them know. Like if you see me, you've seen the Father. He was trying to let us know even way back then. Like, hey, that's why you give your best, because I'm gonna give you my best. That's what that was about. And the elder, he was spot on with that. Spot on with that. Keep going. Where were you at?
I went about.
Did you read it all? Okay. Keep
He
going.
shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, which shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood around about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. He shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces.
Okay, so now we're about to get into why the Most High is like. I'm gonna see if I can catch it. Why he was saying, I'm gonna put dung in your faces, in your solemn feast. Go ahead.
And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall put fire upon the altar and lay the wood in order upon the fire.
Okay.
The priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire which is on the altar.
Wrong question, real quick. So, can we eat fat?
No,
Negative.
Can we eat blood?
no.
No.
So we can't do that. So y'all remember that. Okay, keep going.
But his inwards and his legs shall be washed in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord.
So, why did he say he was going to put dung on their faces? Not you. Anybody else? You, the reader, just Jessica? What? Huh? Oh, go ahead. It's back there. Left. It's you go down to the second. It's like it's on the left. Just go down the hall.
It says girls and women's coat.
Second one,
There you go.
just go to you turn that thing.
Yeah. So why did the Most High say, talking to the Levitical priest of Aaron, why did he say that I'm going to put dung on your faces in your solemn feast? Why? What was the priest supposed to do? So I want you to read these three again and tell me why.
They were supposed to read it out loud or read it to
It's
myself.
up to you.
The only thing I can think of is that they weren't taking out the parts they needed to take out. They were still eating what they wanted to eat. They were still doing what they wanted to do in terms of the sacrifice. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe the word wasn't on there right?
This is all about the sacrifice. So there are specific orders and parameters that the Levitical priests are supposed to do. Oh, if you got it, go ahead. Go ahead. If they don't, you want me? Huh? So read verse 9 again.
But his inwards and his legs shall be washed in water. The priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, offering it by fire of a sweet savor.
So it was supposed to be a sweet savor, but something didn't allow it to become a sweet savor to the Most High.
So,
What from that verse do you think that they didn't do?
was there the goat something bad?
No.
No.
Okay, I got you.
I've never
It says-
taken an animal apart.
So whenever you take an animal apart, you know they have intestines, right? So it says, but his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water. They weren't doing that. So
That's what I was saying. Oh,
What
maybe
did
I did. Did I say that out loud?
No, you didn't say that.
no, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
But I knew it got something to do with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
mean, it was,
so it wasn't a sweet savor, it was a stink. So the Most High was like, because you have to wash it with water, so it was like a baptism, right? So the Most High was literally like, are you crapping me right now?
listen to me.
Are you crapping me right now? Yeah. He was really asking, are you crapping me right now? So y'all don't want to do the things that y'all are supposed to do. Y'all's ordinances, fulfilling y'all's office. Y'all don't want to be in order. Y'all want to be in disorder. So I'm gonna put dung on your faces. That's what the Most High was saying, because
Keep throwing it at me.
they
I'm
became
giving it back to you
rebellious.
So many ways.
Because I was reading it and I'm like, man, why does he want to put dung on their faces? And then I had to go back like, wait a minute. There must have been something that they weren't doing. That's why, okay, I'm going to put dung on your faces then. Y'all think this is a game? Try me. The Most High was like, I'm a real one. Try me. But,
We don't play.
yeah, but they didn't care. It was just lackadaisical. They didn't want to they didn't want to have accountability. They didn't want to accept responsibility. They didn't want to be obedient. They were out of order. All of Israel, because the men were out of order. We cannot blame the women. We got to stop women bashing all the time. Go ahead.
Perhaps, mayhaps,
Uh-huh.
mayhaps they thought, well, he ain't gonna do to us what he did to the Egyptians. He's not gonna bring plagues to us, but his people, like he did the Egyptians, who are not inhabited.
And
So they thought they
why do you
could-
think that they would start thinking that?
There's a verse that says, "Be not haughty, and they will listen."
Because the hearts of the fathers hadn't turned to their children. Because we're supposed to be letting them know, like, hey, if we don't do the things that are pleasing to the Most High, we will go into captivity. We are the ones that are supposed to be making sure that our children, our sons and our daughters understand the seriousness of this thing. Because we are literally sired to the Most High. There is nothing more powerful than him. There is no equal to him. And a lot of times we take it for granted, like, hey, we will demote him to a genie. You know, just ask him, you know, call him up and tell him what you want, like the song used to say. Instead of reverencing him and being like, oh man, thank you. But my job, because it is a life job, once you have children, once you're married, that is a lifetime that you have to teach. So, Elder, if you don't mind, can you tell us what it takes to raise children, to righteous children even in this day? What some of the things that you went through?
Well, what I've learned over the years is that, you know, growing up in church, living up in the church, and Christianity, constantly trying to teach them things. But over the years, I learned that it's best for children, it's best to be an example for them. Rather than, you know, don't do what I do, but just do what I say. But
Wow.
be an example.
So, in your estimation, the best way to teach them is to, like you said, to be the example, to live it.
Be the first partaker of that.
Because if we lead, because us men were put on this place to lead our family. If we lead, they will follow. Sometimes it may be a fight,
Yeah.
but you know, we got to have some type of endurance. We
Yeah.
can't just give up.
Have to endure.
We've got to, because if the world has their way, we're all going to be merged with machines, and we will no longer be the Most High's creation. That's what all the movies and TV shows, or they either want us merged with machines or merged with aliens, according to like the different comics and superheroes and all this and that. So they've been programming and training us this whole time to be prepared and to be ready to accept that thing when it comes. But people, they just think it's all entertainment, and that's not the case. This is programming your subconscious mind. They're programming you at a spiritual level. So it's our job as the fathers to program our children, our household, at a subconscious level, the right way. Like you said, by example, we have to show them the way that they're supposed to go. And go ahead.
And not only that, but understanding that you're not going to be the only influence
Mhm.
on your child. You know, they can have a friend, they
Yep.
can have a buddy, they can have a school friend, all that type of stuff. So you have to be aware of that you're not the only source of information or even inspiration
Mhm.
that they're going to have.
Mhm.
Even your son, you know, but as he grows older, he's going to have outside information. And
Right.
so you have to be aware of that and warn him that, hey, folks are going to tell you this, folks are going to tell you that. You know. But the ultimate thing is an example.
Yeah.
And even if you don't see them change, you keep going. You keep going. And eventually, like the Father
Yeah, he gonna have to do what he do. Yeah. But then the blood is not on your hands, because that's what we were really harping on last week. Because if we are not doing the things, or if we're not teaching them the right way, because we're in covenant with the Most High, that's gonna fall back on us. Because we're not even giving them a chance to make it. And this is all about salvation. We want to be able to survive the calamities, the tribulations that's coming. And for a lot of the men nowadays, they're not even giving their children a chance at all. It's just like, oh, well, they mama there. They mama, she get everything from either another baby daddy, maybe her parents is well off, maybe it's the government, whatever the case may be, you know. But sacrificing the time and the energy, it's just so, it's like a moot point. It's just so foreign to a lot of our men. Because I'm not even on the women right now. Because again, the family household, the family structure, the success of it depends on us. That's who it depends on, us. We're supposed to lead, they're supposed to follow. But we have been walking around again with out of order signs on us, right? So we're going to go back to Malachi 2. He says, verse 5, my covenant was with him, talking about Levi, of life and peace. And I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. So the Most High, he had just told them, like, hey, I've already cursed you and your seed, and I'm going to put dung on your faces. And he's saying that he's going to do these things because he wants his covenant to stay with Levi, right? The law of truth was in his mouth, talking about Levi, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and it turned many away from iniquity. So he had the spirit of Elijah on him, right? That's why he became the priest tribe to the nations, and was supposed to be to the world, right? The lip of truth, the lip of faith. So I'm not really going to touch on those, but we're going to learn more about Levi eventually. But for now, we're just going to keep going. It says, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger, that's what Malachi means, my messenger, of Yahuwah of hosts. So again, we're supposed to be a nation of kings and priests. So we're supposed to have the lip of truth. We're supposed to be seeking the law. We're supposed to be keeping knowledge. We're supposed to be passing this knowledge down to the next generation. It's supposed to keep going down from generation to generation to generation. But we're lazy. We don't want to spend the time. We have no patience at all for children. Even less patience for their mother. I know at times it's me also. I can't lie. I am not perfect. You know. But again, all that's on you. It's on your shoulders. We got to stop putting the pressure on the women. A lot of times that's why women want to get married so much, so the pressure, because she was talking about it last week, so the pressure can get off them, because they weren't made for that pressure. You know, we were made from that. We were made for that. And we have to accept that responsibility. We have to accept that calling in this day. Were you going to say something? No, okay. So messenger means Malachi means my messenger. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. That's what's been happening forever and ever, because we won't teach it. Or if we're going to teach it, we're only going to teach parts. We won't teach it the right way. We'll add stuff to it. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, said Yahuwah of hosts, right? So Levi had his own covenant also. So then it says, verse 8, therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. So you do it to me, I'm going to do it back to you. Everybody going to hate you. And even though this is tied to the Levitical priest, this happened to our whole nation. Like, if you literally, I don't know if y'all have ever been on YouTube and like something popped up to where it was like, he was asking, hey, what race would you not want to be? You know, 90-something% of it is always the quote unquote black race. And they don't talk about the Africans in Africa. They're talking about the ones here, right? African Americans.
That lady, she is sat in many rooms and said, raise your hand.
Yeah.
She actually blindfolded everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She did something. She had everybody put on glasses on, completely blacked out. You couldn't see anything in front of her. And then she asked like 4 or 5 questions. And each time she would have certain people put the glasses on. The last question was, how many of you in here would want to be black?
Mm-hmm.
And then she had all the black people with their glasses on.
Mhm.
I was like, what?
Crazy part about it is more of them are on food stamps now than we are. Go ahead.
Say that again.
More of them are on food stamps now more than we are. Because that whole system, the Section 8 and the whole food stamp system was designed to take us out of the households. So that whole system was set up for our hearts to turn away from the children and to turn away from the spouse. Because you know what happened? Once they set up these systems, then the women had evil eyes towards us. Because what do they need us for? We're not providing. They got their new husband, and they don't even realize it. The government became their husband. they don't even realize it.
Government tells them what to think, tells them what to do, tells them the way that they should go, quote, unquote, quote, and then pays them to do it. Pay them in their speech. Oh,
Go ahead.
The biggest one, it removes the father from the household entirely because in order for these young women to get this hand, and mind you, I work for the state, so I know this.
Uh-huh.
In order for them to get this hand and the medical for themselves as well, they have to put the child on child support, or the father on child support. They have to put him on that, and he can't be living in the home.
Can't live there.
is
So,
it TANF or food stamps?
no, food stamps is not like that, but like the TANF and the daycare,
Yeah.
medical for the mom,
Mhm.
if they want all that assistance, they have to put the father on child support and not be living in the household.
And
Yeah.
so we were replaced by the government.
Yes.
And again, it starts at the house of God, the house of Elohim. It started with us. And then the other nations started seeing it like, hey, well, let's take advantage of it.
We replaced ourselves the minute we stopped sacrificing. The minute we stopped paying attention. Let me rephrase. Our ancestors, and yes, I'm scapegoat. They freaking, listen, here, you didn't want to bring the right. All you gotta do is wash it.
That's it. Wash it, get all the dung out.
I ain't never
Get all the
did
crap
that
out.
part, but I want to do this just to get it right. Like,
Well, I'm just trying to hurry up and get here, man. Like,
it ain't like, nothing, never mind.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm going over there.
And then so we see these curses, like they're not just a one-time thing. Because like we would get kicked out of a certain place or we'd migrate certain places. We'd be doing good. We'd be coming back seeking the Most High, and then we fall into Kabbalah. We fall into Islam. We fall into witchcraft. All this thing. As soon as that happened, oh, you just trigger the curses. You just trigger the curses of Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, and Malachi. We triggered all the curses. Because like these curses are like algorithms. So once it hits to a certain point, all of a sudden the Most High is like, okay, well, you made it to this algorithm, so I got to stand by my word. That's the one thing that I cannot come back from. I said I was going to do it. You're going to make me tell the truth then. I'm going to tell the truth on you then. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It says, therefore I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as we have not kept my ways, as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Can't be partial. Have we not all one Father? Have not one God or one Eloah created us? Why do we deal treacherously, every man against his brother, by profaning the covenant of our fathers? So this one is all about taking heed to your spirit, because we have got to have the spirit of accountability. We got to get rid of the spirit of scapegoat. That's got to go. It's got to die. It's got to go back to Sheol from whence it came, because the future is too important. You're talking about having a kingdom forever that will never be dethroned. No one will hardly ever come against us. And when he does, the Most High going to smite them down. But that's contingent upon us activating the other algorithm for righteousness, which activates what? The blessing. So we don't even think in those terms, because that's what it is. So when the Most High, when he created everything, I don't even know where this came from. Everything's an algorithm. That's literally what it is. Yeah, I'm just saying. But like, think about it. Everything's an algorithm. Once you're righteous, and then you're doing the things that please the Most High, and you're asking, you set off an algorithm, and blessings come to you. Same thing when you're doing negative and bad stuff. Curses come to you. It's a little algorithm. It says, Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. We're Judah. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of Yahuwah, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange God.
I got to that part. I was waiting for you to get there. Okay, question.
Yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question. Huh.
You don't understand what that means.
I don't. So I'm sitting here like, I've met some really nice Muslim women or
Strange guy.
but they read our Bible better than anybody I've ever met.
Right. I mean, they've read it, they've studied it, but that's not that is a holy book to them, but it's not the most holy thing to them. Because they just believe that Yahusha was just a messenger. That's it. Because they're waiting for the Mahdi and to come. Because like in their books, if I'm not mistaken, Yahusha, or who some people call Jesus, will come back and he will tell everyone to go follow the Mahdi. Right. So they're going to try to turn it in. Like in their book, they're actually told to take the mark of the beast. And then I think it says either to behead all Christians or to behead all believers. One or the other. So there's a lot of, it's close. What'd you say?
Somebody's head.
Yeah, somebody's getting beheaded. Like, so, and that's why we have to take heed to our spirits, because if we don't make sure our children know, like, hey, I know they want you to take this, but don't. It's the wrong type of mark. I'm gonna take you to a Shabbat so you can get the right mark on you. You know, I'm gonna teach you the law, statutes, commandments, and about the Son of the Most High, so you can further be marked and protected, put on the full armor of the Most High, you know. But a lot of people are gonna fall for this because the Jewish people, like the video we watched last week, they've already been in meetings with their so-called Messiah. And all these movies, the Passion of the Christ, the resurrection, all this, like they give you an image, and we don't even understand that they made us worship the image of the beast. And eventually it's going to be a machine, in my opinion. But the image of the beast was through these idiot boxes called televisions, right? And people are going to fall like, idiot box, my bad, hook, line, and sinker to that. Yeah, they're going to fall for that. And, you know, people still believing in the Left Behind doctrine and this and that. You got to endure to the end to be saved.
Yes.
Period. Period.
So
Go ahead.
I was having a conversation with my mom's with Pastor Smith. And I asked him, I said, man, I've never seen anything in the Bible about a rapture where we get caught up into the head. I said, then again, I can't lie and say I've studied like, you know, probably you have. And he was like, what's in there? And you start telling me things. Can you show me? He was in a hurry, so, you know, he was going somewhere. So I did catch him at a bad time. He said, it's a conversation for another day. Conversation never happened. I don't need the conversation, I just need the proof. Conversation can literally be, here is what it is, go look it up yourself.
One that just, yeah, go ahead. He got it.
Say 3 words. I am.
Mhm.
They are afraid to say
Mhm.
him, but those 3 words.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Uh-huh. At least be like, yeah, let me, I'll get back with you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you can be honest about it. I mean, because the closest thing that you get to that, oh my bad.
They are.
The closest thing you get to that is us leaving from the ships of Tarshish. There's prophecies about us coming from the 4 corners of the earth, but you see stuff about like the ships of Tarshish. The way that we came here on Spanish slave ships is going to be the way that we go back. Or maybe it's going to be, we're going to fly on the wings of the Philistines. So that would be airplanes. So a lot of stuff that they're talking, go ahead.
But they got that from the verse that said,
Mhm.
and we shall be caught up,
Mhm.
be in the air, then we shall be with the Lord.
Yeah.
So they got that from that. They,
A whole doctrine. Yeah.
Christians don't have because I love them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And help me a lot. They need to up the ante in terms of study.
Mm-hmm.
They need to up the ante in terms of the discourse of the gospel. Like sitting here now, I'm loving this because I'm being fed and iron is sharper iron.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to church is good, but those churches, you know, especially black churches.
Yeah.
And I went there.
Amen. All the time.
You know, and
Constantly clock watching.
and the black church, especially the black church,
No, I'm not charismatic.
But you are moved and speaking through the word and the word by the Spirit, and that's what moves me today.
Yeah.
I appreciate the success. And you sure, Terry? I'm not being that.
Hey, we'll be here.
Yeah.
We'll be here. That's the goal. That's the plan.
The word is the word and it don't change.
The word is the word is the word. You heard Master.
I like it.
It says, Judah have dealt treacherously, and abominations committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah have profaned the holiness of Yahuwah, which he loved, and have married the daughter of a strange God. We don't want to take accountability. That's what this is about. We don't even vet the women that we sleep with, that we end up marrying. We don't even know their spiritual backgrounds. Most of the time, we don't care. Yeah, as long as she thick, got the lipstick popping.
I don't need lipstick.
As they say, got Megan knees or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's all people care about. That's it. Look, this stuff be crazy. Look, the stuff they be talking about, I'm like, yo, this is wild. This stuff is crazy. So you don't care. A woman that can't cook, can't clean, is not nurturing at all, you want to try to have children with? These are the ones that you want to look for. Because we forget that a wife is supposed to be a blessing. When a man findeth a wife, and that he findeth a good thing, and favor from the Most High. It's supposed to be a good thing. You know what else is a good thing? The gospel. We don't even think about that. So when a man findeth a wife, he findeth the gospel. Or a version of it, a smaller version of it. Because we're supposed to be head of a household. We don't take that in the heart. And then we wonder why we have unruly kids. Because we marry women, or we get with women to where they're combative. And we wonder why we keep finding the same woman even though they have different faces. Because we don't take heed to our spirit. We keep attracting the same woman over and over and over. Because we won't take heed to our spirit. No, she look good. She don't need much from me. She let me eat her kid's juice box. Whatever the case may be. We don't take heed to our spirit. We don't think that maybe it's actually me. And sometimes we know, but again, we're too scared to go through the water, to go through a baptism, to go through a change, because water is a portal. It has a way of changing you. It has a way of purifying us, right? But we don't care about that. Again, it's about feelings, dealing with women's feelings and emotions, but a lot of men, we carry that. We carry the same thing. Oh man, I feel like she'd be a good match for me. Knowing she's a devil, knowing she's a demon. Like half the time you know her history and you still chase after her because you won't take heed to your spirit. You won't put that into subjection. And that's what we have to work on. We have to work on our discipline. We have to accept accountability. I wouldn't even want to talk about all that, but we have to accept accountability. Isn't it funny though? Because I know a lot of us, it seems like we always end up with women and it's always an abusive relationship, whether it's verbally, physically, emotionally, all the time, no matter what. It don't matter if you move to a different state, to a different country, you find the same person because you haven't taken heed to your spirit, because you won't accept accountability, because you won't do the things that you have to do as a man. Sometimes as a man, you got to shut up and work. Sometimes as a man, you got to bite the bullet. You got to do some things that you don't want to have to do. Facing yourself is something that nobody likes doing. Because I literally used to have nightmares about it. It'd be like, I would be in my dreams and I was running. I was like, man, who is this trying to kill me? And then all of a sudden I looked and it was me literally trying to kill me. So either you kill it or it's going to kill you or it's going to control you. We got to take ourselves off of autopilot because that's what happens, because our body, our subconscious puts us in, sets up all of these triggers to protect itself, because we haven't been like, okay, subconscious, I'm going to control this situation. I'm going to allow the Most High to move and to remove this thing that always causes me to attract the same person, because I'm still coming from a place of hurt. Even if I can't admit it, sometimes you can't. Sometimes, we think we're too ugly. We think we're not worthy of a healthy, happy relationship. Sometimes we don't think that we're worthy of being financially free. And I just remember, like, in the awakening, like, when the Most High was showing me, like, that we were the people, I literally was just in my room and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, tears were just running down my face, like, man, us?
Yeah.
Me? You made a covenant with us? It's not Charlton Heston from Ten Commandments? It's not them? It's us? Like,
Why am I the only one that went through that? Because man, when I found out, I remember I cried and I asked for forgiveness, especially when everything was just like clear, and I was just like, forgive me, and I just I bawled, and I was just on my knees and just praising and crying and asking for forgiveness because it finally reading the Bible was just not reading the Bible for the feeling. It was literally understanding it. So I do the same thing, but it's a different thing now. Like Brother Carson said, like this right here is feeding our souls, and I look forward to it. And I'm like, you can't get that
me
in
too.
a traditional church setting. You just
Pretty
can't.
hard,
Yes.
pretty hard.
Last door for you. That is. Last door on the left.
And
Over there.
they've programmed us to not have self-esteem through slavery, through the hardships of us to even be considered equal, a real living, breathing person. And we still suffer from the after effects of that.
Yes.
But as a man, again, I'm not on the women, as a man, sooner or later it still comes down to a choice. Are you just going to accept it, or are you just going to lay down and take it? Or are you going to gird yourself, improve yourself to be a man? Because for a lot of men, we don't want to prove ourselves to be a man. We don't. We think, marriage is just supposed to be easy, like with the Beavers or whatever it is, it's just supposed to be easy. Like, you're never going to argue. You're going to argue. But, I mean, if you're a man and if you're resting in your right energy, I'll put it that way, you're going to have the final say. You're going to set things in order. It may take time, but that is your job. That's literally your job. That's why you were created, to continue life. That's why you're here. And again, like this strange guy, marrying a woman with a strange guy, because we know you're not supposed to really be unequally yoked. And a lot of times, because we don't want to be alone, and I'm not even just talking about the women, because we always want to bash and blame the women, but because the men don't want to be alone, we will accept anything from a woman. Any spirit, any God, any habit. Because again, we don't want to be men. We'll accept anything. It's time for us to come back to the time where we have standards. Standards are important. You don't want to just have children with anybody. You don't want them raising your children any kind of way. Because remember, this is the time of Eliyahu, or Elijah, the time for the hearts to return to, for the fathers to the children. And it's important, it's vital. Your life may even depend on it. You just don't know. We don't know. And it says, Yahuwah will cut off the man that doeth this thing, talking about marrying a daughter of a strange God, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering unto Yahuwah of hosts. And this have you done again, covering the altar of Yahuwah with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regardeth not the offering any more, or receiveth it with good will at your hand. So he gets so upset, he ain't receiving your offerings, whether it's money, whether it's animal sacrifice, whether you are trying to repent. He's just like, you're just doing the same thing. This is just a habit with you. You've already set off this algorithm, so we're going to let the algorithm stand. You haven't brought me fruits meet for repentance. Like you haven't come with a whole heart. Like your repentance has not become a whole burnt offering. It's lip service, because you don't have the lip of truth in your mouth. Because we don't stand by our words. Again, in this generation, you don't have to. You really don't have to, because you've been programmed not to. It said, yet you say, Wherefore, because Yahuwah hath been witness between you and the wife of your youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. So this is so layered, because this is talking about your literal wife, maybe a woman that you put away that you know you had no business putting away or marrying. And then it could also be the God that that woman is sired to. Because a lot of times, because their soul ties are real, you don't even know that you're in covenant with a whole nother deity. You have no idea. And you wonder why you're just so emotionally out of order, emotionally out of whack, emotionally unstable. Because you're halting between two opinions. That was what Elijah was dealing with. You going to serve the Most High, or are you going to serve Balaam or the Lord? That's what that comes back to, Balaam, right? And a lot of times we don't understand the tug of war, what that does to our bodies, what that does to our families, what that does to everything. But it's literally a tug of war. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. Take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. And that's what we do. Instead of accepting accountability, accepting commitment, we won't go through I'll just say the legal way of getting quote unquote married, right? We'll just whisper sweet nothings, tell them what they want to hear, impregnate them, and then throw them aside. And just keep coming back. Go ahead.
So I had this. I married a mom.
Right.
I married twice. So I married her at my mom's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Felt connection was there.
Okay.
Marriage was perfect.
Okay.
Then we went to the courthouse. So it was like this. We sat in the courthouse. You were there. We sat in the courthouse.
Low rider.
We sat there. The judge was supposed to see us, and all of a sudden that one had something to do. I was nowhere. So we sat like 3 hours of proceedings before he said us, before he saw us. He said, "Y'all don't need to get divorced, right?" And I planned on it. He was like, "All right, cool. You love her, you love him. All right, yeah, we'll do this thing." And then signed it, done.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Okay.
The connection that we had was from the house was gone. I mean, you feel it. It was like they say you can cut
With a knife?
Yeah, with a knife. Yeah, it was that. And I can feel it talking about it. However, I said, were I to ever get married to anyone again, it would be how I did it the first time. It's not wrong. It wouldn't be for this thing. You change the name of that. Am I wrong?
I mean, you don't have to have a courthouse to get married. You can create your own documents, create your own vows, if you want. But me and my wife, we got married at the courthouse. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily the location, but maybe, did you pray before you got married?
Or you come to me.
Like, continually. I'm not talking about one prayer.
No, I did continuously. I was actually, before we ever got married, my mom's house, we were going through marriage counseling, Pastor Miss Campbell. And it was like, I kept, Miss Campbell was like, maybe. And
So you said you were praying, right?
I was. I was. I was praying.
What was he praying?
Yeah, that too. And then
He
you were,
didn't ask that question. He said,
okay.
did I pray?
You know what? Even still, so you were praying, and then who said what to you
Miss Campbell told me.
before you got married? Was this before?
Yeah, it was before.
She was telling you she ain't the one.
She told me whenever we were seeking for them to be our officiators, that she's not the one.
But you were praying at that time, right?
Yes.
You didn't take heed to your spirit.
I didn't have any red flags.
She gave you the red flag. She told you right then and there. You're praying, hey, Most High, if this is the one, please just let it be known. You didn't care though.
I sure did. No, I care.
Now you can take accountability.
See, okay. There's that word again.
Yeah.
There's a word again.
Accountability,
So we're
yeah.
sitting there, and like I said, the time came, and it might have been the day that it was, what was going on, because it was her birthday. And, you know, I lined up this stuff, I lined up everybody in my mom's house and stuff. I was like, she didn't know nothing about it. And the whole marriage thing came later. It came like, you know what? I got this party plan. Hey, mom, tell your pastor to be at the house. She was like, why? I said I'm getting married. She was like, huh? I said, yeah, I'm gonna be married to the house like next week. So that's literally how my planning went. She walked in the house. Everybody said, "Hey, blah, 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 blah." Then I went upstairs, came downstairs, I changed over, something like sleep-ish. And then I asked her if she would marry me, and she said, yeah. And I said, you know, you told me you would marry me? And she said, yeah. I said, are you serious? And she said, yeah. And I called Pastor out, and then she was like right now? And I was like, yeah. I said, if you want to. Nobody's forcing you. If you want to, cool. If not, I understand. Healing was there. Now,
Here we go again.
Was it the fact that it was birthday? Was it the fact that it was Russian? Was it the fact that, you know, like what? So the question is, I guess I'll go with my original question is, but I've come to the conclusion I'll probably never go back over again. However, the
That's your choice.
will affect were I to ever love a boy again. This thing, but
Won't go away when you're not saying that won't go away.
You're not taking heed.
I've been saying, you know, they speak those things into existence. I've been speaking a lot into existence. Like, I don't care.
But-
I don't really care. I ain't got a heart. I've been saying it with intention to have no emotion. Because the person who's emotions can't get hurt.
Says who?
That's how I felt.
That just
after-
means you're gonna ball it up and explode.
Exactly. After all of the stuff that I did through, that I put myself through, accountability, I put myself through a lot of things over the years, relationships, marriage, whatever. And it got to a point where I said, okay, we're not supposed to live in this world alone. If I were to ever get married again, how would I do it? And then I started running little plays in my head, like, do this, add caution, I don't know, whatever, just whatever, right? But I will not ever go back to the courts for the simple fact.
If that's your choice,
That was
that's
a
fine.
cutoff. It was a disconnect. It caused a disconnect. My question to you is there a way that because I'm listening, and is there a way that I'm supposed to?
I mean, you can go through the court system. You're talking about the way you're supposed to get married?
Yeah.
How long did you know the woman? That's really, it just depends on the spirit and the nature of the woman. So really, we should really talk about that after, but I'm just gonna say this. So what attracted you to that was your first wife? Second. What attracted you to her? What were you looking for?
Not my first
That's your answer.
wife. I think
That's your answer. Standards. What standards did you set up? Like, have you written down, if you do get married, exactly what you want? Have you written it down? You should probably do that.
okay.
And then you should ask the Most High to help you to be the man that this type of woman deserves.
Yes.
Because it starts with you. It doesn't start with her.
Done.
It starts with you.
Sorry, you're
I was about to say the same thing, rather than constantly looking at them,
Mm-hmm.
look at the man in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
first.
One of your friends there, that's what she asked me though. Because in the, right, because like before I even decided to get into another relationship, I was like, nope, I'm stay single, I'm in my Bible, and when I was reading about the fruits of the spirit and what everybody's supposed to have, my standards, my standards are high for myself.
Good.
And I'm like, if my standards are high for myself, and I'm accepting something that's lower, I mean, at least meet them. So when they say equal yoke, I took that not just a physical level, but a spiritual level as well. And so that's why I stayed single for a while. Like, I'm not getting into relationships
Yep.
because I was able to recognize those red flags when
Mm.
If they bring in a broken chair and you got the whole setup for them, that's not equally yoked
No.
at all.
That's a
But
massive. That's a burden.
like my dad always told us growing up, and I didn't do this until later, if you're gonna date someone, you should have your own place, you should have your own car, you should have a job, you should be established in some kind of way, to where you can actually go on a date without having to ask mom and daddy for money.
Mhm.
But in return, when you're looking for someone, and in that aspect, do they have the same thing? But the first thing I started doing was praying, because I didn't pray before it. I was like, God was not in the midst of those relationships. And when I figured that out, I was like, whoa, I'm so sorry. But I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, what was I doing wrong? Because I was praying for something, but that's not what God wanted me to have. So you gotta take time to get with the word and be like, look. I mean, I think we went over this at Brother Vernon's. I'm not sure what book it was in, but it was talking about how you were supposed to seek in the Father first. Like, they said when a man finds a wife, he
Finds a good thing.
But it says, like, when a woman, Proverbs 31, it was talking about how the woman is supposed to have, but there were stipulations for a man as well that they don't really dwell on in the churches, which I wish they would, because we're all supposed to be seeking after the Most High's love, number one. So that way he can guide us
Put
in
God
what he
first,
wants to
you
do.
know, right.
So, and there's like, and I don't know what it was, I'm pretty sure I wrote it down, but it wasn't in one of the books that they, like, took out the Bible.
Was it one of the Testaments of the 12, or was it Ecclesiasticus?
I would have to go back to my notes.
Because I'm
I know I wrote
thinking
it
it's a
down, but I was
testament
like,
of.
oh wow, I didn't know that. But there was standards for men as well as women that were supposed to be in his word.
It's probably Testament of Judah. Maybe it's Testament
I
of
also
Judah.
like,
Like what?
Hold on,
Like
bro.
what's listed? Sorry.
I also like what she just said, that when you get married again, incorporate the children in your thinking.
Oh, that's true. I didn't hear you.
If
That's
you
right.
just, no, you didn't hear, but I heard, that's why I made sure I brought it forefront.
Gotcha.
That and
He has to incorporate that
like
in his
that.
thinking.
I didn't hear that either. And that was another thing that I was looking at too. I'm like, how am I supposed to, whoever I'm with, my children, especially them being boys and
Mhm.
my daughter's children, what do I want them to see as a man loving me? What example are we giving them? So I can't have someone that's in my life that doesn't give me attention or doesn't help around the house, or not taking out the trash. Like, I really thought about, like, who do I want around me and my children? Because that person is the number one example, whether we co-parent or not, that is number one in the household, because they're gonna see everything that this man does. So, like, that was, like, really important to me. And, like, now I'm happy because
Yeah.
I get the comments and the feedback. Deb was like, Mom, you guys are so cute together. Like, I love how Mr. J loves you. Like,
Yep.
he's always doing something for you. He's always helping around the house. And I get these all the time. And I'm like, that makes me feel good, because I'm like, this is a good example for my kids. Because
Yes.
Deb was like, well, when I grow up, I want to have a wife. And I want to
Hey.
like this. And it's just that example is so important for our babies. And that was one of the things that I put there. Like, I don't want just anybody in my life. I need someone to match me as a parent, spiritually, what I bring to the table. I'm a hard worker. I need somebody to work just as hard as me. Like, and that's literally what God gave to me. And like, it's so important, because your kids are gonna watch everything you do. When they get older, what they're gonna do is say, well, you remember that relationship you were in? So how can you talk bad about me?
Right.
When you allowed this to happen in front of me?
They definitely gonna throw it back. Yeah.
And they will throw it back in your face, because I've seen it in my family done to this day. Well, how are you gonna talk mess, but you allowed this to happen?
Mhm.
That's big.
And I want to say something to you. When I asked you what you were looking for, when you found your second wife, your answer kind of summed up what you said. What I've heard you say a few different times, even last week. When you have a spirit of desperation on you, you'll kind of, like she was saying, accept anything. Because you literally said, I said, what were you looking for? You said, not my ex-wife. So that means you were just so open to anything, even if it's more heartache and pain and drama. So you were talking about you had some affirmations that you were saying with intent. So I would definitely try to tweak that. And again, have your own standards. Look at yourself and then work on yourself. The Most High will bring the right people to you, but it's time for you to do the work now. On you. Women is a dime. I'm not trying to bash women, but women's a dime a dozen. So it's not that hard to get women, but there's a few comments that I've heard you say, I just didn't say anything about it. And when you have a spirit of desperation on you, you're going to keep that cycle going. So take heed to your spirit is what I'm saying. And then it said, and did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. So there were a lot of things going on. They were marrying strange women in different contexts. So I'm actually gonna go to Nehemiah 13 real quick. I'm gonna try to speed this up. And when Nehemiah heard about what was going on with strange women, he tells them to do the exact opposite thing that Malachi is telling them to do. So we'll start at verse 1 and read through 3. Nehemiah 13, it says, on that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of Yahuwah forever. So they were never supposed to be in the congregation. Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them. So Balaam was basically a sorcerer, a warlock. And that he should curse them, howbeit our God, or our Lord, turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass when they had heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. So we just read in Malachi, the Most High, he's trying to take care of this righteous, this holy, this godly seed. That's why you have to take heed to your spirit, because you don't want to just be given your godly or the Most High's seed to just anybody, because it can get wasted, especially if they're for another guy, especially if they're a witch, because a lot of these women are closet witches and you won't have no idea about it. Witchcraft is just really running rampant nowadays, right? Matter of fact, there's across the street witches, literal witches across the street. Yeah, literal witches across the street. And again, if you have a spirit of desperation, if you're not taking heed to your spirit, you'll accept anything. And you don't realize the spiritual warfare that these angels have been fighting for you this whole time. And you just think like, man, everything's just hard for me. Everyone's against me. This is like no, you're not taking heed. You're not paying attention. The Most High is trying to let you know, like, hey, am I supposed to marry this person? Hey, she ain't the one. I'm going to go ahead and do it. This is it. I have that feeling. Because we're not supposed to deal in feelings and emotions. That's what our wives are for. Right? That's how they deal. That's how they operate. That's their function. That's their modality. That's not ours. We're supposed to be keen, level-headed, and we're supposed to lead, like Elder Parson was talking about, by example. So we got to be careful with that. So, because, again, they hired Balaam, so this whole race of people, or nation of people, both of them, were not supposed to be in the congregation of the Most High. We know Ruth was a Moabite, so that doesn't mean every single person. But as a nation, like, especially if they're worshiping another God or Elohim or however you want to say it, that's a no-go. That's a strange woman. There ain't no way. That should not be happening. You should know, like, wait, you doing Santeria? Oh, I got to go. Santeria? No. Yeah, my mama, I got to go wash my hair. I gotta go do something. Like, but again, we don't take the time to actually vet our spouses. We just want to be with somebody. And it's too important. It's way too important to just let these things fall by the wayside. So I'm going to go to Numbers 22. And I'm going to read verses 5 through 7. Numbers 22, verses 5 through 7. He sent messengers, therefore, unto Balaam. So this is giving you the story of it. The son of Beor to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, They cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. So they're worried about our people, right? Come now, therefore, I pray you, and curse me, this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I would not that he whom you blessed is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination. So they had divination in their hands, literal magic, sorcery, all the witchcraft in their hands. And they came unto Balaam and spake unto him the words of Balak. So Balak was the king of the Moabites, right? So a lot of times when you get in these entanglements, situationships, marriages, whatever you want to call them, you don't realize that that other person, if they are into witchcraft or whatever, they're literally putting curses on you. And you know what happens when you get in a relationship, you get comfortable, your prayer life falters. You stop reading the book completely, and you become too open. And when you become open like that, you open yourself up to attack because you don't have the armor on no more. Because again, you're comfortable because you're not taking heed to your spirit. So you got to be careful. What'd you say? It's very dangerous. So we're going to jump to Deuteronomy 23. And I'm going to read verses 3 through 6. Telling you about the story again. And an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah, even into their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah forever. Again, this is talking about those that are sired to another god, another deity. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against the Balaam, the son of Beor, of Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Literally, that's why some of these women, because we don't be understanding, like, if they are in these other religion, witchcraft, whatever, their spirit guide, because that's like a big term right now, their spirit guides will literally assign them to you. You don't even know it. Because the Most High is like, okay, I'm going to let you because the algorithm is set off, so they got to come back and cry out to me. A lot of times these witches are literally assigned to you. It's something you got to be prayerful about. You got to think about, like, man, why is all this stuff happening to me? You could have witches that's praying against you and you have no idea.
Especially when you have that soul tie.
Because, they could take blood from you, hair from you, whatever, and try to pull whatever. But if you're right with the Most High, nothing's going to happen to you. But a lot of times, it's just because our faith is not at the right level. Because faith is a muscle. You got to work it. You got to work it. Nevertheless, Yahuwah thy God would not hearken unto Balaam, but Yahuwah thy God turned the curse into a blessing unto you, because Yahuwah loved, thy Elohim loved you. Thou shalt not seek their peace, nor their prosperity all the days of your life forever. Right? So now we're going to go back to Nehemiah 13. And I'm going to read verses 23 through 30. I'm trying to speed this up. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. So we know that you're not supposed to be with these women because they're tied to a different deity. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and cannot speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. So we know whenever you conquer a people, the first thing you want to do is take their language. That's why once we are restored, once this salvation occurs, he's going to return to us a pure language. So be careful with that. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote them. So now this is a priest. Because again, in Christianity, Catholicism, they want you to be this gentle and you can't harm nothing and nothing. But if you actually read the book and you see what these priests and prophets were doing, Elijah wasn't no punk. Ezra and Nehemiah wasn't no punk. They didn't play. So check this out. It says, and I know we've read this before, and I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them. So he hit them and plucked off their hair. This is a priest. And made them swear by God, saying, you shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. So this is the spirit of Eliyahu, because The hearts of the fathers are returning to the children. Like, hey, we don't do this because we know the Most High, He's jealous. Our children cannot be raised in a household to where they're going to be serving two different gods, Elohims. Again, this is the spirit of Eliyahu, the spirit of Elijah coming, right? And then it says, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. That's why you're not supposed to be marrying daughters of strange gods. Solomon, the wisest, allegedly the wisest king ever, fell. Set up stuff to where like they do exorcisms from the information that he got. He was worshiping so many gods, almost as many gods as the wives and concubines that he had. The original Rolling Stone, King Solomon, literal, right? So let's keep going. Verse 27. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying strange wives? No. And one of the sons of Jehoiada, the son of ELOIHIM, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite. Therefore I chased him from me. Look, Nehemiah wasn't playing. He didn't already slap some dudes up, plucked up some of their hair, chasing dudes off. You talking about a priest. You talking about a man's man, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, if you will. He wasn't playing that. He wasn't playing that at all. Remember them, oh my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers and appointed the the wards of the priests and the Levites, everyone in his business. Marriage is a sacred vow. It's something that you should really take seriously. It's important because whoever you marry is a reflection of you. So if you're chaotic, if you're not established, if you're unequally yoked, that's what you're going to attract. That's what you're going to get. That's literally what you're going to get because they amplify what you are. That's what your wife does. They push you to be better, to be greater. And then having children, that's going to push you even farther. But if you're not accepting accountability, if you're not taking heed to your spirit, then your heart is not going to return to your children or to your spouse. Because in this generation, with all the different TV shows, with all the different professional athletes, like it's popular to just dump your wife for somebody else, somebody younger, somebody hotter, somebody whatever you want to call it. That's what the Bible calls dealing treacherously with the wife of your youth. You can't do that. You can't. It's not a righteous thing. It's not righteous dealing. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. Your wife is your neighbor also. And she's a reflection of you. Again. So now back to Malachi 2. So Nehemiah, and then if you read Ezra 2, I think it's Ezra 10, they made these guys put away these strange wives. So I'm going to ask y'all a question. Is divorce lawful? It is lawful, right? So before we get to Malachi 2, I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 24:1. It says, would a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his course.
Well, never seen this before.
So it's in there. It's there. Yeah. So that's Deuteronomy 24:1. But finding favor in your sight. It can't just be, you know what, you don't look the same no more. You gained a lot of weight. You think the Most High, because your wife is also a partaker in the covenant of the Most High. You think the Most High wants you to just put away your wife like that? But that's, when you're thinking carnally, that's what they were thinking. That's literally what they were thinking. But this was more of a spiritual thing. Like, yeah, if she don't find no favor in your sight because maybe she's worshiping other gods, maybe she's committing adultery, maybe it's an abusive household to where one of y'all gonna kill each other, But no, that's not what man thinks, right? So that was Deuteronomy 24:1. So we're going to go and see what the Messiah said. We're going to go to Matthew 19.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to Matthew 19. Because a lot of people are like, well, Moses says, it says this in the book of Moses, this, and this in the book of Moses, that. Like, I understand what that says. But are we supposed to just put away our wife? Like, that's something, that's a lifetime bond. That's a lifetime commitment. You have got to accept accountability. And again, a lot of our men won't even allow them to get to that point, but they want all the benefits of it. They'll literally turn our women into whores. Baby mamas is what they're doing. And we're not supposed to allow our women to become these things. And that's what we end up turning them into. Because we won't do what we're supposed to do. Because we won't do what we're supposed to do. It says, Matthew 19, verse 3. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? Because that's what people will think. That's what Deuteronomy meant. For every cause, right? And he says, and he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? Not male and male, not female and female, not non-binary, male and female. And said, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain or two, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. Let no man put asunder, not even you. You got to have a concrete reason to do something like that. Because again, if it's adultery and if they're caught in the act, you got a witness, they were supposed to be put to death. That's what was supposed to happen. So if it's adultery, if your wife cheats on you with somebody else, and you go there and you have a witness, back then they would put you to death. You would stone them to death. Like, yeah, we didn't play that. Huh? No, it'd be this whole spectacle. They drag you out to the city, through the city, and next thing you know, like especially the witnesses that saw it first will be the first ones throwing the stones at them. Then everyone else would join in. But that was to keep uncleanness from our people. It was supposed to scare you into that. Like, no, I'm not about to do that, because we're not supposed to be lusting after our neighbors' wives anyway. And our wife shouldn't be doing that either. And we shouldn't be messing with married women either. That's adultery also. And then it says, and he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. Verse 7. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? He said unto them, because of the hardness of your hearts suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. So this is how deep this is. So when Eve, we're going to go all the way back, got beguiled by Satan that was masquerading inside of the serpent. She ate of the fruit. She got her husband, Adam, to eat of the fruit. Why didn't the Most High just be like, okay, well, she was the one that did that. You can divorce her, or let's just kill her and give you something new?
He was responsible for his wife.
He was responsible for his wife.
God said, hey, I'm going to give you a helpmate, but he also left him in charge of her.
That's true too, but why didn't the Most High allow Adam to divorce her though? That's bone of his bones and flesh of his flesh. They're one flesh now. You can't divorce yourself. And that's what a lot of people be wanting to do. They want to divorce themselves. I'm like, no, that's you. Were you going to say something, Brandon?
Yeah, but no. Don't worry about it.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Very sure.
I wasn't even going to talk about that, but just thinking, that's why he was saying, like, from the beginning it was not so. Because if anybody had reason, you going to trust this snake? And then you going to give me this food and all, I eat what you give to me? But that's not part of him, because he wasn't paying attention to what he was supposed to be paying attention to. Because he knew better, because he was the one that was given the covenant, the commandment. It was him. You can't blame your wife for that. And a lot of these people today and in the past would get married, and these dudes were like, oh, yeah, I don't like your attitude, not even going to try to work with them, not even going to try to help improve the situation or anything. Okay, I'm just going to give you a bill of divorcement. That it had become an epidemic with them, a pandemic with them. Yeah, because like, again, now they won't even get to the point where they go to the courthouse. They just want to have all these 50 million baby mamas or multiple kids, all these, but don't want to, again, want to reap the benefits, and not be there when you need to be there. But again, this is about the spirit of Elijah. The heart of the fathers have to return to the children, but that also has to include your wife, the wife of your youth, because that's what happens. You get older, because men and women's values change. So as men get older, our value actually starts to go up. Women's value actually starts to go down the older you get. And so you're going to throw it away just because you're starting to go up, your value is, and hers is diminishing. When she done gave you all these kids, all these children, the best years of her life, and you just going to throw her away like she's nothing for the next hot topic, the next hot skirt that you see. Nothing. But be the 3 best minutes of your life, and that's it. That's literal it.
That's why it's best.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have the right one at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And this book here will describe to you the right one to get there.
Proverbs 31.
Every time I read the Proverbs 31, every time I read the Proverbs 31, I belong to my list. Every time.
Bless you, sweetheart. Bless you.
It's in this book. It's in that book.
And then he said, and I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his, well, I'm going to read the verse 4. He saith unto them, verse 8, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery. Because, like you said, it's still happening today, right? So we're almost done. So I'm just going to read this. So the divorce rates by ethnicity. Divorce rates also vary by ethnicity. Many factors could explain these discrepancies, including differing cultural norms surrounding the institution of marriage, as well as systematic biases that undermine family structures in certain communities. Here's what the data shows about both divorce and marriage rates by ethnicity. The divorce rate for white couples is 15.1%. This is as of 2023. The marriage rate among these couples is 32.1%. So it's not bad. Now, the divorce rate for black couples is 30.8%. So we're double. We are the highest by far. And the marriage rate is 17.3%. One of the low, actually, I think that is the lowest rate. The divorce rate for Hispanic couples is 18.5%, and the marriage rate is 33.2%. Because we still have not taken heed to our spirits, because we still have not accepted accountability. Divorce, not being married, us not being in a household, that is a curse. And it is a choice that we have to choose greater. We have to choose better. We have to choose that the next generation, the generation after us, is going to be a generation of righteousness. But it's a choice that we have to make. So I'm going to go to another one. Black marriage in America. Over the last few decades, marriage has been a declining institution among all Americans, and this decline is even more evident in the black community. So it starts with us, always. It always starts with us, and then it trickles down to everybody else. In 2020, only 30% of African Americans were married, compared to 48% of all Americans. So we're 18% less than every other race here being married. Because we don't take, or being betrothed, let me say that, because we don't take that covenant seriously. Or a lot of times we're just afraid of the C word. We're afraid of commitment. Because once you have that paper, you feel like, oh man, I got to do it. Yeah, you do. That's why you keep tap dancing and running. 48%. 50% of African Americans have never been married. That's crazy. 50% of African Americans have never even been married. That's a lot. I'll go to the next one. And then this is just a clip of it. You see never been married. You see all this. We're leading in all of this stuff. Go ahead. Huh? Oh yeah, we're almost done. Uh-huh.
No, I was saying.
Okay, yeah, I got it on my laptop. Yeah. All right, bro. Love you too. Thank y'all for coming. Shabbat shalom.
Nice meeting you.
Very nice to meet you.
Mhm. And then the disdain that we have for like our own women,
All right, later, bye-bye.
is crazy. So it says African Americans are the least of any major racial ethnic group in America, according to the Census 2020. Survey shows 30% of African Americans were married, compared to 43% of Hispanics, 52% of whites, 58% of Asians. 50% of African Americans have never been married. We already read that. But then when it talks about interracial marriages, we lead in that. All that to say that we got to start loving ourselves and loving the wives of our youth. That's what's important, because we have got to reestablish the household. That's our job as men. Back to Malachi 2. For verse 16 and 17. For Yahuwah, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that you deal not treacherously. So does anybody know what it means, for one covereth violence with his garment? So back in the Eastern customs, right? Whenever a man got married to a wife, he would put his garment over his wife. So because he became her covering. So instead of being the covering, it became a violent thing, because you just throwing your wife away, even though this is a commitment for life. So that's how serious we took it. Like, no, I'm her covering, literally. Our garments would be over. Like, yep, that's what it is. Because I was reading, I was like, what does that mean? Literally. And we don't want to set up accountability. We don't want to accept commitment. And we've got to just start. It's got to start with us, with one choice, one day. And you got to keep it going and going. That's why we have to take heed to our spirit in this day. Then it says, you have wearied Yahuwah with your words. Yet you say, wherein have we wearied him? When you say, everyone that doeth evil is good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he delighteth in them. Or, where is the God or the allure of judgment? Like, where he at? We don't see him. We getting away with putting our wives away, with not washing the inwards of the animals, with all this stuff. The Most High, he ain't paying attention. He don't care about none of that. That's a lie. Because we don't take heed to our spirit. We have to in this day. And we got to stop marrying strange women. This is like the housewives of, I don't know, Atlanta. And we're the same race of people, but they are strange women because they don't serve the same Elohim, the same creator that we do. And we have to have discernment in this day. Another strange woman, Big Lotto, whatever her name is. Strange. These are strange creatures that are trying to send our people down to hell or Sheol.
Yes.
And this one, Meg the Stallion or Meg the Devil. We got to stay away from those. We have to have discernment. We have to accept accountability for the women that we choose to be with, because it is a choice. We find our wives, not the other way around.
Yes.
So that's all I got. Did it make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Elder, if you don't mind, pray us out one more time.
Father God, thank you for this time. Thank you for your word. Thank you for the man of God. Thank you for the people of God. All that we've heard today, Lord God, we might not remember everything that we heard, but I thank you for the Holy Spirit that will bring those things back to our remembrance. And help us to apply that word, Lord God, to our life. Help us to continue to love our wives, and help our wives to continue to love our husbands, O God, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. And Lord God, as we leave this place today, continue to be with us. Help us to continue to help to make you our constant meditation. Help us to continue to dig in that word, Lord God, and study, as Jesus said, for in the scriptures you think you know you have eternal life. Lord, I thank you am, Lord, continue. And Yeshua's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Shalom,
I have
everybody.
enjoyed this, man.
Shabbat shalom.